Okay, you know what time it is. Another time for that Carpool Confession where I just let down all the guards, don't have any script. I'm just gonna sit here and just talk to you about something. And it's summertime here in Las Vegas, which means, we are, oh my God. These two guys in these sports cars, they are racing. They must be doing 100 miles an hour. That's another thing. Almost want to change subjects. All these crazy drivers on Las Vegas roads. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about solar today. Whew, that is just dangerous. People are just dangerous around here, man. So, I've talked about it a lot. I'm not against solar, okay? Every time I make a solar video, somebody leaves some kind of comment and you know who they are. They're a solar salesperson. Because it's like, you just don't understand. I actually spent about 20 hours educating myself, and yeah, I understand. I've had enough solar people talk to me on all ends of the spectrum, and yeah, I understand. And I understand when somebody is coming to me talking about you just don't understand, what they're saying is, I just don't understand that they need to make some money. I have this thing, if you look at some of my social media, and I talk about how I don't like salespeople. No, I don't like salespeople. I don't consider myself a salesperson, even though a very famous coach says your real estate license doesn't say you're a realtor, it says you're a real estate salesperson. Yeah, that's the problem with salespeople. So I'm gonna spend a little bit of time talking about solar for a minute. So I'm already waiting for your comments down below and everything. Okay, here's the thing with solar. And I don't want to stop people from getting it. It's very good. As a matter of fact, there are some new home builders. You'll see me putting out some videos pretty soon on some new home builders. And I'm going to tell you up front, I'm just putting them out because, yeah, this is a little bit different when I'm talking about them. And it's not because they're paying me, because they don't pay me, unless you buy a house, of course. But solar, like let's say you walk into a Costco. I'm going to tell you a story. I did a video that day. I never released it. It was winter time, so I was wearing a jacket, which is very rare for me. I usually wear a short sleeve shirt year round here because winters are very mild. I'm in Costco. I can see the kind of shirts I wear. I'm walking through there and it's like at the back section, where the meats and stuff are at. Solar person, no other way to say it, accosts me, goes, "Hey, you're interested in solar?" I'm going like, "No, I'm not interested in solar." Say, "Well, why aren't you interested in solar? It increases the value of your home." I'm like, "Nah, it doesn't increase the value of your home. As a matter of fact, it can detract from the value of your home." And he goes, "Who told you that? Some realtor?" I take my jacket, I pull it back, and he sees my stuff. You know what he says? "Thank you for your service." And that's it. He's not just saying that because he saw the Air Force portion. He said that because he saw the realtor portion. He knew that he couldn't BS me right then. So here's the facts that you need to know about solar, and then we'll go into some other things. Solar can increase the value of your home. See, there, I said it. And all of those solar salespeople that you see in Costco, Lowe's, Sam's Club, I don't know if I've ever seen them in Sam's Club. They all will say that. And they are citing a study that actually exists. The study was by Zillow. And the Zillow study showed that solar will increase the sales price of your home or the value of your home by 4.1%. And they will say that until the cows come home. But they forget to tell you the other part of the study. The other part of the study that only applies to owned solar. When I say owned solar, I mean fully owned solar. Not solar that you financed, not leased solar, not what's known as a PPA, and hopefully I'll have enough time to discuss all of those with you today. Owned solar. In other words, you went out there, you paid, I'll just come up with a number, $30,000 out of your own pocket, wrote a check, and put solar on your house. That increases the value of your house by $30,000. I mean, by 4.1%, according to Zillow. And they're studying Zillow. I ain't gonna lie, they got a whole bunch of PhDs who work for them, so they sit there and they do all this research. Okay, great. But the majority of people, let me tell you this, they do not go out and stroke a check. They finance it, they lease it, or they use a PPA. The vast majority of people. Now, I've done a couple of sales where the solar was actually owned. And guess what? They sold so easy. And I've done it on both ends of the transaction. They sold so easy. And I've done sales where it's the other way, where it's a lease, finance, where it's, everything else. And it's not. It does not increase the value of your home. Matter of fact, it can take away from it. I got several examples I could give you. The problem is when you have somebody and they're making profit off of something, they're always going to give you the sunny side of it. As a matter of fact, there's this guy. I think he's a really good guy. Really, really good. As a matter of fact, a lot of the information that I'm giving you came from this guy. He runs a company. When you're doing your little solar and everything, what he does is he actually runs through all of the paperwork for the proper transfers, because there's just so many people and all of the solar is like really jacked up around here. And he just runs through all of that to make sure you get all your, man, these people are nuts, going all the way to the end, just trying to pull in front of me because the road's closing up right here. These people are just nuts. Plenty of space behind me. And he would tell you all of the bad and the bad and the bad. And his company, he used to be a solar installer, and he started this company to do all of this. And then the last class I took from him, a 3-hour class where we go deep into solar, his tone changed. Now, interestingly enough, he started working installing PPA. Before, he wasn't doing any installations anymore. All he was doing was this business. And then all of a sudden it was doing PPA, and then it's like, oh yeah, all solar's bad except for PPA. That's why I say, when it comes to sales, you gotta be very, very careful. So let me at least go over the 4 types of solar. So I'm gonna start at the very least, PPA. So what PPA is, a power purchase agreement. What that is the solar company puts solar on your roof. The solar company owns the solar, and you buy solar power from the solar company at a fixed rate. So let's say that rate is, I'm gonna make it up right now, is 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour. Now let's say Nevada Energy is selling it at 15. Well, you're saving 5 cents per hour. So whatever solar is up there, you buy that solar when it's producing at 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour. So you're saving 5 cents an hour. You don't have to worry about the installation. You don't have to worry about the maintenance. You don't have to worry about anything. You're just buying power at 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour. So, in a way, I agree with them on that. And that's what he was saying. It's like, well, why wouldn't you agree that if you're buying power at 10.5 cents instead of 15 cents, whatever they're charging right now, isn't that a plus for you? Yeah, it can be a plus, but regardless, you got solar, somebody else owns it. It may be difficult to get it off your house and everything. If you sell, supposedly they'll come and take it off your house if you sell your house. Supposedly, we'll see. That's the number, of the ones, okay. You buy it for whatever you agree to, and there may be an escalator in there. So this year it may be 10.5, next year it's 11, because they assume power is going to go up a certain amount at NV Energy, and they want to capture their difference. So you're basically a consumer with a PPA. The next type is a lease, and that's kind of the worst in my opinion. So that one is, you lease it from us for X amount of dollars per month. Well, every person I've seen with a lease, the amount they're leasing it for is pretty close to what you pay for NV Energy. But they sit there and they're like, oh, this is so great. I'm only paying $220 a month for my solar. So I'm not paying anything for electricity, but you're paying $220 to the solar company. And the solar is tied to the house through what's known as a UNC1, which means the buyer of the house has to not only qualify for the house, they have to qualify for the solar. And this is where it gets insidious as hell. Insidious. When I did say hell, HE double hockey sticks. It's considered a debt, and it goes against the DTI, debt to income ratio of the buyer. So let's say they qualify for your house is $400,000, you got solar on top. Their DTI has to cover the purchase of the house and the lease of the solar like they were leasing something else. But you may go like, wait a minute. That don't make sense. I don't have to pay electricity. The lenders don't take that into account. And then you have to go through all that. And let's say they do qualify for it from the lender, then they've got to apply through the leasing company. Let me tell you, every time I've had a house with a lease, when I've represented the seller, that's like been their number one concern. And they're taking the lease and they qualified for it. So if it proves your value that much, why are they caring so much? Oh, also, in every case where I've had a house with a lease, another thing has happened. And every time they come in, they go like, oh, it's going to completely cover taking care of your electricity. Well, they always say that. And every house I've ever sold with the lease, and a lot of times purchased solar, it didn't, because they want to make it look affordable. And then they go, oh, it just undercalculated. We got to put more panels on. It's going to cost you this much more. And then it ended up being like more than they were paying for electricity every time. Okay, and then you got, finally, the financing. Okay, this one gets into a longer, more complicated issue. And solar, like I said, I don't have anything against solar. I have an issue with the way they do it. Because solar is a lot cheaper than people think. I'm going to start off with one. I sold a house to a guy a few months back, a guy who was in my squadron. I actually sold him several houses back when I was on active duty. He was trying to become Trump Jr. Please, no politics. He was buying a bunch of rentals, renting them out. So he was actually PCSing back, and he was buying a house for himself, and he owned 2 Teslas. So he contacted Tesla, and they were going to give him a solar for his roof. He was going to pay for it himself, own solar. It was going to be enough to charge his 2 Teslas and power his house. You know how much they were going to charge him? I'm looking at you. Like $9,000. Now, if you and I were to go out and try to buy that much solar, how much it'll cost us? Between $40,000 and $50,000. So why the difference? Here's the difference. I'm going to just make it real quick. When solar started really hitting, the banks figured out, not the overall banks, but the ones who do the financing and the leasing, they figured out a way to make extra money. So what they ended up doing is they added to the cost of the solar. So when you go to a solar sales company and they go like, oh, we'll finance it's only 2.9%, they've actually financed all this in. So that solar that you paid, I'm gonna make a figure up, like $35,000 for, no, that's like $20,000 in solar. They just baked a bunch of fees in. So you're paying $35,000 for $20,000 in solar. And then the most insidious part, and this is where it really gets bad. And they talk about that 30% that you get back from the government. Yeah, it's not that way. It's a tax credit, right? But it's not like they just sit there and give you 30%. You got 2 years. It's non-refundable credit, which means it goes against your income. And you have 2 years to claim the credit. 2 years. But what if you're, let's say you're a retiree and you don't have that much taxable income? You may not even be able to get that credit. They don't tell you that part. Remember, they tell you the part that they need to tell you. So like I said, I may need to put out like a bigger video and everything. So on solar, you stroke a check, you pay your 40 grand, whatever, you get your 30%. Hopefully you have the income where you can actually write it off over 2 years, where you end up paying 0% in taxes because it's a credit, non-refundable, 2 years to recap it, and that's about it. Other things you got to think about is they can do some serious damage to your roof. And I've had on the buy side where the solar company's done damage to the roof and then they refuse to cover it even when they said they would cover it. It's just a lot of crap with these solar folks, man. I think solar is gonna get there one day. I may have issues with Elon Musk. I think overall, long term, Tesla may have some good issues and may fix some things long term. Short term, we're gonna have to see. But I'm just gonna warn you right now, all I see are people getting solar. I'll go to neighborhoods and these solar folks, man, they are so good. They can sell ice to Native Alaskans. You know, I can't say that E word anymore, it's politically incorrect. They are good, they are good. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you a little story real quick. One couple sold a house to, they came from YouTube. They called me up one day and they said, hey, we want to get solar. I'm like, okay, I'll put you in contact with somebody. I tell them, I give them all the warnings and everything. And I put them in contact with a guy I served with fellow retiree who owned a solar company. And no, I'm not all about just collecting a paycheck off of folks. I've given warnings on all this stuff before, but he says, hey, you've earned yourself a referral. I'll get it to you one day, blah, blah, blah. I keep in contact, make sure everything's going good with their solar. And it's like, well, this and hasn't, received the certificate of operating, then cuts contact. So one day I reach out, it's like, well, what's going on with their solar? Has it received its certificate of operations? And I guess I've left the solar business. I'm doing this now, and everybody in solar's a bunch of liars, blah, blah, blah. And he was one of the people who would constantly correct me how I'm wrong. Yeah, but everybody's in solar's a liar now. Yeah, we believe what we sell, right? It's like, if you go to the car dealership, they're always talking about this is the greatest car dealership in the world. And then they change car dealerships and they send you a letter talking about, I'm now with XYZ car dealership and it's a great dealership and they're all great Christians, and the last place were full of Satanists and all that crap. Same thing for real estate. They all believe what they sell. So I'm just saying that. With that, this was Carpool Confessions, where I just get in. I have a half-hour drive. I got to go someplace every Saturday. The stuff that's on my mind, I riff on. I mean, if it's interesting, I'll riff on something that somebody asked me. I do this unscripted. I'm just chilling out. I'm talking for a bit, purely from the heart. You may or may not want to hear it about real estate in Las Vegas or living in Las Vegas and all that stuff. And hopefully it's some real honest stuff that sometimes you want to hear, sometimes you may not want to hear it. And do that YouTube stuff. Alpha Mike Foxtrot and all that stuff. Info's below. Call, text, email if you ever want to talk at me, because I'd love to talk at you too. And all that YouTube's, and I'll just pull right in front of me where I have to put on my damn brakes. Thank you. And we will talk to you next week. And by the way, video's probably popping up right now. Do me a favor and click on it.